Hi everybody, this is Sue at Hometown to Homestead Gal Gardener. I'm going to do a little cooking video for you today. I'm going to make a lentil stew, and I've got most of my ingredients all chopped up already. I've done some more unpacking, and I found one of my favorite little crock pots. It's a little red guy from Rival, and it's a good size when you don't have a lot of ingredients to make like a double batch or something. It's about the size you can fit about one chicken in it. But we're going to make this lentil stew for tonight's dinner, and let's get started. So first off, I have 2 carrots that I sliced into coins. Those come from my wonderful organic farm close by. I have half of a yellow bell pepper, and I have half of a yellow onion, diced small. Put those into the pot. I have one 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I have 1 can of condensed French onion soup. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic in there. I always love a little garlic. Set that aside. 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And I have some dried rosemary that my mother-in-law gave me, and I dried it. I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of that on my cutting board. A little stemmy right there. I'm going to take my knife and give that crunchiness stuff a little bit of chop, and it's flying all over the place. I haven't found my mortar and pestle yet, but I will. That's a better option for doing these dried herbs. Or if you have an herb grinder, that's a good thing too. I'm just going to scrape that into the pot. I also have these lovely celery leaves that I dried in my dehydrator. It's quite a bunch, but it'll break down as I chop it up. And it also is wanting to bounce all over the place. Pull out these real stemmy parts. That's not very palatable. And I'm thinking that breaking this up with my hand is going to be a better option than breaking it up with a knife. We'll set the knife aside. Oh yeah, it just crunches up. Celery leaves, parsley leaves, any of that kind of stuff is good in this. So when it's all broken down, I probably have about 1/4 of a cup there. And scrape that into the pot. Messy green cutting board. And then, I almost forgot, some kosher salt. A bit of salt in life is life. Gotta have some salt to keep things going in our bodies. And I'm going to do 2.5 teaspoons of salt for this whole pot, because I'm sure there's plenty of salt in that soup condensed soup mix and probably some of those tomatoes too. I have organic French lentils, which are a green speckled colored lentil. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a different lentil I'm trying. I got these at my farm store also. Pour them in my measuring cup, which is 1 pint, 2 cups. You can dump that in there. My can that my tomatoes came in, I'm going to get 2 cans full of water. One. And that fills that pot right up. Give it a stir. Make sure everything in the pot is wet. This is going to have so much lovely flavor in it. And those lentils will get all nice and soft and cooked up. And then we put the lid on it and set it to low until dinner time, which will be about 6 hours from now. I'm going to check it a little bit later, and if the lentils don't seem to be cooking too much, then I will turn it up to high to accelerate the cooking time. Next up, I'm going to make some bread machine bread to go with tonight's lentil dinner, and you'll see that in a few minutes. Okay, hi there, back behind all the ingredients. We're going to make some bread in the bread machine to go tonight's dinner. And I've adapted a recipe that I found in a bread machine bread book. Oh, I did forget one thing real quick. Almost forgot my oil source. Okay, so this is going to start with 1/2 cup of water, and this just goes straight into the bread machine pan inside the machine, and 5/8 of a cup of milk. I use whole milk. Don't use any of that non-fat, low-fat stuff in my house. Do use almond milk for my husband because he's lactose intolerant. Sometimes I use the almond milk instead of the regular milk. And we're going to, the recipe calls for bread flour, but I don't have any, so I'm using regular. And that's fine because I've made this loaf before and it was just fine. So we're going to, and I am going to sift it into the machine because it does make for a nicer loaf. So bear with me. This goes pretty quickly. One. My counters are taller than I thought they were. I find it easier to sift 1 cup at a time. Like this old-fashioned turn sifter. Looks like a big old can, which I'm sure that's what they originally made them out of. And 1 more cup. I of using my conveniences like my Crockpot and my bread machine, but I do appreciate the old tiny gadgets too. Move the bread flour container out of the way. And this is a basic white loaf recipe for a 1.5 pound loaf. Okay, that's all done. And then we need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Use my kosher salt, whatever salt you prefer. Here's 1. And a half. Okay. And then the recipe calls for 1.5 tablespoons of butter or margarine, but that's not what I'm using. I am using coconut oil, which is solid right now because it's cold out. And I use this 1.5 teaspoon cookie dough scoop because it's easier to get it out of there. Here's 1. 2. 3 of those, which would be the 1.5 tablespoons. And you add it up. Jar doesn't want the first one. And then we need 3 tablespoons of sugar. Tablespoons, not teaspoons, the big one. This is not a low calorie or diabetic dish by any means. Here's 1. It's bread, people. 2. 3 tablespoons of sugar. And 1.5 teaspoons of Red Star brand, blah, blah, blah. They had to deal with that brand. And I'm going to actually up that to 2 because I found that works better in my machine. A smidge more. I love yeasty bread. Okay, so the thing that I'm going to add for tonight's dinner is I have about a cup of fine shredded cheddar cheese that I'm going to add into the mix. Make some cheese bread. It's going to be lovely. Let me close the lid. And it's already on level 1 for basic bread. I'm going to change the color to light because otherwise the crust on this loaf gets too hard for my liking. I'm going to push start. 3 hours later, I'm going to have a lovely loaf of bread. It's going to start kneading and mixing all that together. It will rise for a while, and then it'll knead again. And together tonight with that pot of lentil stew and some homemade fresh bread in the bread machine. I do have solar panels, and my whole house is on electric, including my stovetop microwave oven. And so I don't flinch at using my electricity for using these machines. They're great helpers when you need to do other things or if you just can't take a lot of time standing at the stove. But I hope you enjoyed this. Dump it in the pot meal and throw it in the bread machine meal. And until next time, this is Sue at Homestead Gal Gardener, and I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so my bread didn't come out quite the way I wanted it to. I'm not sure if my yeast wasn't good or mixing the cheese into it just made it too dense, but that should have been twice as tall and it didn't quite get there. But I'm going to try and save it, and we're going to put some butter on it and grill it in the pan and use it like a crouton. But my stew smells fabulous. It's full of lentils and good broth, and vegetables and herbs, and dinner's ready. Thank you for coming along on the journey of this video. Enjoy.